This is the Grow My Clinic podcast by Clinic Mastery, where we help you deliver amazing client experiences to grow your clinic.
Welcome to another episode of the Grow My Clinic podcast. My name is Ben Lynch, and today we have a very special guest. Steve Willis is a qualified fitness coach and former team commander with the Australian Special Forces. With his signature dark sunglasses and black t-shirt, Commando Steve has become a familiar face on the Australian television series Australia's Biggest Loser. He's also a father of 4 kids from about 18 months. Is Axel, He's nearly 2.
Yep.
Nearly 2 to 18 years, which is an incredible role in its own right. It's a very big welcome to you, Steve. And my first question right off the bat, given your personal and professional evolution as a dad, fitness entrepreneur and businessman, is what do you hope to be remembered for? What's the legacy you're creating?
I guess in the legacy is a permission piece to do things differently. I guess in the profile that I've been afforded, like I've done a lot of great stuff in my life, you know, as many people have, but I believe in the sense I've been fortunate to be provided a soapbox that I can kind of stand on and from time to time say a few words. And in doing that, what is it that I say? And what is the message that I want to get across? And that is that I'm a human being much like anybody else. And pain, suffering, and fear is real, but it's not unique. And to be aware or more mindful of your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, and just how you operate both professionally. And even for my own kids is to show them that they don't have to be like me. They don't have to be like their mother. They don't have to be like anybody else other than themselves. And the more that they can be true to themselves, I think there's always going to be suffering. There's always going to be challenges, but there won't be a lot of the unnecessary kind of pain that comes your way.
Yeah. So then are you the commando at home with the kids and you got them all in order and routine and structured?
No, like there's definitely a foundation and some structure around things, but if I compare or measure against my own upbringing, I'm nothing like how I was brought up. But times have changed as well.
Yes.
But with the whole commando side of things, I let my actions do the talking more so. So, you know, with physical activity and the way in which I eat and the things that I do or don't do, I make sure that I'm conscious of those things in my daily activity. You know, sometimes I just don't feel like doing a workout and the like, but I'll get it done, and you know, and the kids will see that, you know, when you're kind of up against certain things, and not trying to make things out as a grind and a chore either.
Yeah.
Like I think a lot of us get quite, I'm getting a bit deep now.
We like it.
The mundane chores of everyday life we tend to overlook, or we choose to ignore because they're not sexy, they're not cool, they're not exciting. And I've recognised that, you know, early on in my army career, that they're important. There's a responsibility piece tied to all of that, and accountability, from washing the dishes to putting your clothes away to making sure that your belongings are in order. And for the life that, you know, myself and Michelle live, we're constantly on the go. You need that type of structure. And when that structure's there, it's almost like you don't have any structure, if it makes sense.
Yes. Yeah.
And people scratch their head wondering why. And I look at anyone in different fields in their craft and the things that they do, and they're willing to hone in on the simple, like the things that most people tend to overlook. They're all over it. They've got that foundation locked away. And then that foundation is a springboard. It's a springboard into more complex and exciting things. But first, without the foundation, it's a sandy beach.
It's a really good lesson to really hone in on the simple things and use that as your foundation. We've got a community of business owners who, they've got a family life and they've got their own health and business, and much like yourself, that structure and simplicity can be hard to find, and easy to negate or look over. So you're really coming back to the simple things, the simple disciplines for yourself and for your family. Relationships and business are so important as the foundation.
Yeah, most definitely. And, listening to you just reiterate that back, we talk very much around balance and what does balance look like. And we live in a world of complexities and technology and the pace, everyone talking about how fast everything moves nowadays. Well, yes, that does occur. And what is that? What's the opposite of that? What's the polarity to that? And that's creating space and stillness. That then helps the needle to find that equilibrium or the middle point. And so doing more of nothing, essentially, if you take a leaf out of a yogi's book or a Buddhist monk's book, there's more time spent creating space and stillness, which helps to kind of empty that cup and allows you, when you choose to go back into doing the more complex and output orientated things, to have that room to do it. And we then find that we're not as stiff, we're more thoughtful or mindful in how we respond to the situations that are unfolding in front of us. We're more measured then.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned there before that you obviously lead an incredibly busy life, your partner Michelle as well, and family and business. How do you then find that center and that reset, that quietness in the schedule and the life that you lead?
Yeah, spending time in nature. And I think that's something that ever since I was little, and then through the army, I wasn't as open-minded to it because it was a job in the military and, spending a lot of time in the bush. But reflecting back now, hours upon hours of just laying there or sitting there or walking and patrolling without saying anything, and you were just working on this other energy, this intuition. You'd learned the skills, but you'd lock them away, and they were so second nature that you could just do things and you didn't need to talk. It was the action piece. But nowadays we have some property, or we go down there and we've got 10 acres, and I'll just go outside and sit on the grass and close my eyes and breathe.
Yeah.
And just create that space and have some stillness to mowing the lawn, to doing all those types of things. But and just spending quality time and not feeling that I need to, for myself, but also with my children, constantly be seeking excitement.
Wow.
One of my sons is 6, and he's very academic, but he's not the most coordinated kid when it comes to physical activity. So playing some handball against a brick wall to help him bring those skills up. Yeah. Just little things. Throwing a frisbee, swimming in a pool. It's without a whole lot of structure and routine. And it's not like we're training for a goal and a competition, where I'm thinking of it as life skills and things that help to build their confidence and belief, so they take that with them into their teens and into their adulthood.
Absolutely. So you've obviously taken a lot of lessons and skills away from your career evolution in the army and the military, and now in business and fitness. I'm interested to pick up on the time in the military, and especially around leadership. We've got business owners here who are, if nothing else, leading themselves, but they're often leading a team of people. I'm interested to know what you've observed, maybe in the military and outside of that, as some key leadership qualities that you see in someone that, you're really willing to follow and be by their side moving forward. What do you think really makes a strong leader, or even a strong parent in that case?
Yeah, it's it's your ability to be measured and aware when things are getting tight or uncomfortable. There's agitation.
Mm-hmm.
And I run a number of camps and even training sessions, and I even have some clients, personal clients, who are business owners, and you see them come in, and when things are quite comfortable and they're relaxed in their environment, they do okay.
Mm-hmm.
But as soon as you start to those thumb screws start to tighten and the pressure's on, and the environment, for whatever reason, whether it's hot or it's cold or it's raining or whatever it might be, people start to fall apart, me included. Yeah, I've been put through all of this in my military time, and I remember doing a subject course for corporal. Now, it's not it's an important rank within the military, but it's not like a high rank.
Mm-hmm.
And how long was the course? I think it goes for like 6 weeks or something, or 8 weeks. And but I remember the component where we had to go into the field
mm-hmm.
for about 2 weeks, and they absolutely beasted us. They put us under so much pressure, but they just wanted to see if we were made of the right stuff to lead men. Firstly, to lead ourselves, and then to lead other men under all types of pressure. Now, that's a necessity within the military,
mm-hmm.
and you could definitely draw parallels into everyday life. With all of this is asking yourself the question around the bubbles that we live in, the man or the human-made constructs that shelter us or insulate us from nature. We have cars with air conditioning. We live in houses with air conditioning and work in quite comfortable business environments and the like. We're not overly exposed to nature.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that if people really want to test themselves, get out into nature.
Yeah.
Do some hard stuff. Do some teamwork stuff in environments that you're not comfortable in. So that means you need to step into the unknown, which, plain and simply, we're scared.
Yeah.
There's fear.
Yeah.
And it's facing those fears, because within those fears or that suffering or that pain, whatever it is that you want to call it, there's lessons. There's beauty, but you need to surrender to it. And surrender is another strong word. Most people go, surrender? What do you mean surrender? What are you talking about? Oh, I'm not going to lie down and die. That's not what surrender means. So surrender means to accept now for what it is. In this present moment, you might want it to be a million other things, and it's not. It is what it is. Then we can work on the positive within the situation rather than creating more resistance for ourselves from the negative that keeps we perceive. We perceive the negative and we perceive the positive. But I can tell you hand over hand that acting on the positive is a much better way to go. Creating more resistance is just it all comes crashing down.
And that is such a piece of gold for everyone, because like you said, we're all up against it at certain times, and maybe you want to ignore it or sugarcoat it, but accepting it for what it is and taking that step forward. But that's the first part of it. So you often talk about getting out of your comfort zone. It's quite fitting. Obviously, with military training, you have to. And then in fitness as well, kind of going that extra rep or set or whatever it may be, and just pushing beyond that. I'm interested to know, in a business setting, what takes you out of your comfort zone as a businessman?
For me, originally, communication.
Yeah,
it's coming from a military setting where there's a lot of structure and a lot of discipline, and there's certain procedures that you're just expected to follow and not overly question. So there wasn't a lot of communication and sitting around going, oh, but there's a better way. And it wasn't in the civilian or the corporate sector, where you had to concern yourself too much with marketing and getting yourself out there and brand and the like. So it was more about doing the job. So transitioning into a civilian life, working on The Biggest Loser, but then behind the scenes, business ideas and concepts and just working with other people. I was quite challenged in the communication aspect and side of things, and it took me some time because it comes back to belief and confidence as well. And you sit and listen to other people, and you kind of bring them on board for their skill sets and what it is they do. And you might have a particular idea, but you don't want to voice that idea because you think that the others have got it all wrapped up. That's their craft. And then down the track, you're like, darn, I should have spoke up. I should have put my 2 cents worth in, because it comes around that's actually the way that you end up going, but you've taken the long road.
Some important lessons, that's for sure. So then, did you notice a change once your communication is in a business sense, as a leader in business, once your communication got better, that you saw some differences in your team and the results from a business point of view?
Yeah, definitely, because people knew. I remember people saying to me they couldn't get a good read on me. And you get that about a lot of military people, because they don't say a whole lot. And so people don't quite understand what they're thinking, what it is that they want to do, to achieve. But it's a funny dynamic. People who've come from the military in that sense, and it's not until they learn to express themselves. I use a term or an analogy: taking off your body armor, being a little more vulnerable and opening yourself up. And I think that requires that emotional intelligence. And first, you need to be connected with yourself. Like, have an understanding of how you're feeling and the reasons why you're feeling a certain way, and have the conversation with yourself, but then be able to articulate it to others. Because a lot of the time, when you don't know how you're feeling and the reasons why you're feeling a certain way, especially for men, the easiest thing to grab a hold of is agitation and anger. Because where there's fear, we use that as a facade to try and get ourselves out of a situation, or where we might feel like our ego's being bruised, essentially, because someone's saying something that, might seem more intelligent than our ability to thought of dynamics of how our heads work and how we all then kind of work together in that sense, kind of off from a common ground.
Yeah, absolutely. So then in that transition from, say, military coming into business, and that maybe a couple of years of transition for you, did you have any mentors guide you along the way, maybe some people in business or just some other leaders outside of the military to help you make that transition?
Yeah, definitely. I can even think back to my time on The Biggest Loser and just observing Shannon and Michelle, the other trainers.
Yeah.
And their ability to articulate themselves and get their point across in a way that it was easily understood and in very few words, essentially. And that's kind of what television needs. They don't want these massive big spiels, because time is of the essence. But and that really helped me to develop in a personal and a professional sense. But then also just jumping in the deep end and doing talks, from being on a gym floor, talking to coaches and to clients of the gym, to doing talks like with the Commonwealth Bank and of Nestle, and being all over the place, Housing Institute Australia, and it's quite a daunting experience and feeling. And for anyone that's had to stand up in front of at least 10 people, it's it's coming.
Coming.
Oh, you better and that whole prior preparation and planning prevents piss poor performance. It's like doing a test. You've got all the information locked away, and then you come to the test and you just have this mind dump.
Yeah,
it's just you're standing there. But there's a lot that I've gleaned from others over the years. Inspirations growing up, like Arnold Schwarzenegger and the like. I guess much in the physical aspect, which spoke to me. A lot of friends through my military career, other guys that were officers and of a higher rank than myself, just observing them and having conversations and one guy in particular, Jeremy Hargraves, who was one of my bosses, but also a good friend. He went on to be a major, I think, and before he left. And then, everyday life, everyday people, like people that you don't actually hear about or know about. Like one guy in particular I met when I just left the army and had started working as a trainer and on The Biggest Loser. And he came to me and he has cerebral palsy and he wanted to train. And I said, "What's your goal? What do you want to achieve?" And he goes, "I want to be Arnold Schwarzenegger." This kid who was 21 with cerebral palsy, and his story is incredible for a kid that just had to fight for himself. And we talk about equality in this day and age, and to be seen as an able-bodied human being. When if you were to look at him without talking to him or knowing him, you just thought he's another person with a disability. And he went on to managing sections within David Jones at Bondi Junction in Sydney, one of the biggest David Jones in Australia.
Wow.
And he now heads up and is one of the managers of one of the biggest good guys.
Wow.
In Australia, where they want to roll out new concepts and ideas, it's his store that gets it. He's a bit of the test dummy. So
wow.
And gosh, it stirs some emotion in me even and talking about someone like that. And my face shown here and there, and write-ups in magazines and all that other type of stuff. And this kid just does his thing.
Yeah, incredible.
It's it's the same even for your listeners. Like there's people out there that this whole thing around recognition, and I've said it to I used to say to the contestants on The Biggest Loser, what it comes down to is what you're willing to do when the doors are closed, no one else is around, and the lights are off. The cameras aren't there, the lights are off, the doors are closed, and there's no one else around. That's when it counts. Any of us can kind of conjure enough energy when we've got eyes on us.
Yes.
And, kind of put on a display or a show. But when it's dark, when it's cold, when it's gritty, when you just don't feel like doing it, what are you willing to do? That's what makes you. And then, and no one else needs to know. Just you, just there in your chest. Like you can put your hand on your chest and you just know, yep, that's good. That's me.
That is incredible. I was going to ask, what might your parting advice be to our listeners and our community here? And that seems pretty profound, what you've just said. But is there any real golden nugget that you have to add to that, Steve, about what you hope for people who are listening to this today, what they might be able to do following?
Yeah, take your aspirations and all those things that you want to do and turn them into intention. Put some action to it. And it's not easy. And for majority of those listening, I'm sure that you've done that time and time again. But this is life. It's relentless and it's impermanent, and that means it's ever changing. So you need to you constantly got to keep toiling. You got to do the work because no one else is going to do it for you.
That is some very wise words there, Steve. So I love how we kind of started off the conversation today about the legacy that you're looking to create, and really just helping even from your kids to be more of themselves. And kind of there's a common theme of just bringing out the best version of everyone that you work with and every person that you come into contact with, which really resonates with all of us, I'd hope, as people, but at least as health professionals and in the health industry, that we're in it because we want to help people live a better life with a better body and be able to do all the things that they want to, run around with the kids, or whether it's, run a marathon or something like that. So that resonates a hell of a lot with our community, which is incredible. And for me, that kind of training and storytelling you just shared with your time in the military about that it's important just to do the little things and master the little things. We named our business Clinic Mastery being getting the small things right and committing to the small things. Because, like you said, it's very easy to be showy and look at all the latest stuff. But at the end of the day, the basics, the fundamentals are so important. So that's an incredible story. And then obviously matching your ambition with action and taking action is so important. So I just want to say thank you so much for joining us today, and to everyone today, thanks for listening and tuning into another episode of the Grow My Clinic podcast by Clinic Mastery. We'd really love your honest reviews and ratings on iTunes, and for you to share the love with your friends on social media. You can head over to our website, clinicmastery.com, for all the show notes. For those that are serious about taking their clinic to the next level, you can sign up to our free Grow My Clinic online course over at our website, www.clinicmastery.com/Grow My Clinic. Thanks so much, Steve. I really appreciate it.
Not a problem. Thanks, Ben, and everyone out there. Have fun.
Wise words. Thanks, man.
This is the Grow My Clinic podcast by Clinic Mastery, where we help you deliver amazing client experiences to grow your clinic.